Okay, guys, we're going live. We're going live. We're going live. Okay. All right. And I need to like pause this, otherwise it's gonna like perfect. All right. So, long story short, everything that you're working on, like right now, is all because you are understanding the benefits of mentorship. So we talked about the benefits that it can be to have a Black woman mentor another Black woman in a field of law and actually see them flourish and grow. We're going to talk about why mentorship is more important than like what it is and how you go about it, but why is it important? There are situations in your life, and we'll talk about them. And I don't know if you guys have felt this before, but I know I've felt it. And so I can only talk about the situations I've gone through. So one situation I had was just applying in the first place. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was doing the personal statements. I was filling out the L.S.T stuff. I did the Kaplan stuff, and I was lost. Did y'all hear me, or was I frozen?
I can hear you.
Okay. So like I was lost. I didn't know how to do the L.S.T, L.C.A.S credentials. And so the first thing I struggled with was when I hit apply to the schools, I had to pay money, like a boatload of money in application fees. And I had to call my mom, like, Mom, I can't afford this. Like it's $800 some to apply to law school. And I don't understand why is it so expensive. And I wasn't eligible for a lot of the waivers, and I didn't even know that waivers existed because I didn't know, I didn't get them, and I wasn't able to obtain them before I applied. So I had my mom help me. We used a credit card and I was able to apply to law school. That's one thing that I just wasn't aware of, that you could get fee waivers. And then I learned of eventually Mitchell's HBCU pre-law summit in Atlanta. And I went there and found out that the schools were giving out fee waivers. And I'm literally sitting here like, do you know how much money we had to pay just to apply to the schools? Not in addition to sending the CAS reports. And even know you could get a fee waiver for that. And so there's information that mentors have that you just don't have because they're not on a book. Even though they're online somewhere, you don't actually know how to obtain them, or if you should be asking for them, right? If you're trying to get into the school, is that the way that you're supposed to go? So we don't know. So I had a whole bunch of ignorance just in the application process alone. And when you're applying to law school, that's when you feel most lost. Like you've got 20 different people telling you how you should write your personal statement, 20 different people telling you how you should write your diversity statement, 30 different people telling you that your L.S.T score is too low and you need to write an addendum, and 50 different people telling you that you need to write a better resume or go get some more experience to get into law school. Let me tell you, I did not have anybody tell me that. And that was a great thing because my mentor, she's not my mentor anymore, but I needed her then. She told me to let my L.S.T score stand on what it was and let the chips fall where it may. And nobody, I repeat, nobody who's out there selling information on the internet right now is telling you that. They're always like, buy my program, I'll get it. Buy my program, I'll fix it. Buy my program, you'll get in. Look, I ain't buy nobody program to get into law school. And I didn't do any of those things to get into law school, not because they're not possible, but because I was a broke college student. And all I could afford was the $100 I gave to Howard University, Howard Honors Program, so I could do the L.S.T prep program with Kaplan. That is all that I was able to afford on my little college student salary. Okay, because I didn't make much, and I definitely didn't have much to give up because I spent most of it on food and entertainment, as you should in college, because you only get to go to college once. Okay. One thing that I will also tell you is that nobody told me in my mentor network, because I had very few mentors that I trusted with this information. I never told anybody my LSAT score besides the people who were in the room when I got it, my mentor, and law schools that I applied to clearly, but no one else. And my mentor told me not to do that. She said, don't talk about your grades, don't talk about your LSAT scores, don't talk about any of that. Again, she's not my mentor no more. And it's not because she's a bad person. It's just we're not mentor or mentee no more, because eventually you have a season where you might not need your mentor anymore, or your mentor might go on to different direction than you completely. Like I'm in IP law, and I think they were in civil litigation. So I don't think that we're gonna in the same path for a very long time. But the goal was still the same, to learn things that nobody else was telling me. And one thing my mentor told me was don't tell people stuff. And so when I got to the school and I wouldn't tell them my L.S.T score was, and I wouldn't tell them what the grades were I was getting on my exams, I wouldn't talk about the scores. I thought I was being bougie and uppity. But really what I was doing was preventing myself from comparison. That is an enemy of yours in law school. You are constantly comparing yourself to others. And you don't think you do it too much now, wait till you school, you will do it all day, every day, for the rest of the time that you experience with them, because somebody never told you, right, that you don't have to tell them that information. That information is not theirs to know. And it serves no purpose, right, to tell other people what scores you got, because scores don't give you value. As I've said to y'all many times in this group, okay, my L.S.T score was really low. They almost kicked me out of law school. Okay, I was in a special class. I was on academic probation almost. I was very close to getting kicked out, but my L.S.T score was never high. I can tell you that right now. And my first year score was never high. And yet here I am standing before you being a lawyer. So don't allow those things to affect you, and then don't compare yourself to anybody else, even if they scored a 180 and you scored a 120. Okay, it don't matter. It don't. Okay, it doesn't. Because at the end of the day, that's not their business or your business or a predictor of your success. I don't care what this statistics say, it does not predict your success. And that was something that somebody told me a long time ago, that comparison is the thief of joy. But I never understood that a mentor had to tell me that and help me understand that that was something that I needed to start creating a value in myself, where I wasn't comparing myself to other people and telling them about my scores and how well I was doing. And after a while, I stopped posting about stuff on social media so that I could get through. And that brings me to my last thing. My mentor, and this was a hard thing for me, y'all, because I went to Howard University, and y'all know we are Black power, Black everything, like treat Black people right. Okay. So all this stuff was happening in the media. Somebody was getting killed every week. It's just always somebody getting killed, looked like me. And my classmates didn't care, said stuff. I had people who came after I think Trump got elected with their heads like completely bald, and I had to deal with that. And somebody said something to me. I was sitting down, I was just kind of studying for my civil procedure, and they're like, Nina, just give up, like, just stop. And it was some white guy walking by me. I said, you know what? And I was ready to fight him, y'all. That was it. Like, I was going to end my career over that little dumb white boy, okay? And he was not a bad person. It just was a situation where I had to learn. So somebody said to me, and it hurt, because I was like, I don't feel like I should have to be the bigger person. But they said, you gotta let stuff like that roll over your shoulder. And it really hit me, because that's what my career became about in law school. In order for me to survive, right, thrive in a school, I had to learn how to let some of that stuff roll over my shoulder and figure out how to outsmart old boy. So like old boy, the same one who said it to me, gave up his seat when I got to class, and I had been sitting in the same seat every day, and he came in late. I came in late one day and he was in my seat, and I just looked at him, and he just looked at me, and he's like, oh, I'll move. I was like, okay. Because I'm sitting here. And it was like, look, I just made this man get up and give up his seat at the front for me. There we go. Like, that's the important part. Like, it just helped me understand that, like, I have the power to take my power back, and I don't have to live in the shackles of anybody else anymore. And it's up to me, right, to take my power back by allowing myself to not let people keep putting me in that box, because they would always defer to me when something happened in the Black community. And it wasn't bad. I didn't mind speaking up. But the issue was, I got to a point where people were being ignorant, and I was supposed to say something to them to educate them on what they shouldn't be ignorant about. And it was too tiresome for me. And my mentor told me, you're just gonna have to, people been killing people for a long time. Okay. It was happening way before you got here. Okay. And you have to get through so you can go out there and make the difference to change all of that. You got to get out of here. And you can't get out of here fussing with these people, because they're gonna make your life especially hard to get out. And I learned that some of what she said was right, and most of what I did was disruption, right? So I disrupted in the background and learned something my mom taught me when I was young, called the grievance chain of command. So if you guys ever noticed that when you actually like tell the staff, and then you go get the staff to call a manager, and then you got the manager to talk to their boss and the person to talk to their boss, you actually get more things done than when you just like, send a letter to the CEO or tweet them, like, you don't get things done, right? right? When
Yeah.
you follow this proper chain of command, you actually get things done. And my mom taught me this when we were young, like very young. And that mentorship, just from my mom, like telling us about this chain of command, is how I was able to be a disruptor in law school and get things to happen and get like monies given to me to go to externship programs, because I asked questions like, well, why is this not accessible to everybody socioeconomically? Like, I cannot afford to pay a rent here in Tuscaloosa and pay a rent in at the same time. Like, y'all need to have some type of subsidy for housing. And that was the first year they ever gave out housing subsidies for us for the first time I was in DC. And it was just stuff that you're able to disrupt. So I learned that there is a way to be a disruptor in law school in a way in which most people don't think about. So you have to figure out, one, whose ears are listening, and then two, where your allies were, and then three, who is going to sponsor you when you're not even there. And so I had a professor. I love her. I dedicated my entire book, Dear Future Lawyer, to her, along with my family and friends that I love. But I think of her because she actually went to bat for me and like emailed administration and told them that they needed to feature me on the website because I had done a big speaking engagement about diversity and the importance of it in leadership development. And they weren't covering it. They weren't talking about it. And I was one of their students. And they were kind of shamed. And like right after, somebody called. The reason why I'm telling you this is like, this is all mentorship. Like, somebody told me that I needed to find these types of people and I didn't know. So I was looking for somebody to help me with my homework, someone to help me with my personal statement, those things. Those are like the lower level things. For mentorship, the reason why it's valuable is they tell you exactly what you need to attack, who you need to go after, how you need to go about doing it. The other part of mentorship that I think that you should do from now on was, there was this Harvard Business School. Okay. I went there for a week for a summer venture management program. If you're still in school and you're a junior or a senior right now, you're eligible for their virtual version of it. But I would wait. If they have a non-virtual version of it, you should go as an alumni to the actual school. But I went to Harvard Business School for about a week. And the guy told me that he wrote handwritten thank you letters to all of the people he ever did any type of work. And he like sent it right after an interview. He also told me that when he was 30, he moved back home with his parents to be able to pay off student loans. And so I wasn't stressed about what I was going to do after graduation because I wasn't too proud to move back with my parents until I could pay off my student loans, because I still got 6 figures worth of student loans to pay. And this is the stuff that I was being told before I got to law school. We get worried about things that don't even, like, they're not gonna play in 10 years. Okay. Like, not going to care that you didn't do XYZ in 10 years to get to law school. They're going to care that you developed a mindset. And one of my teachers was funny because I never took a class from him again. He said, tell me when you take some real classes. Like, tell me again when you take some real classes. He's looking at my schedule for next year. And then he said as well that I have something that nobody could teach. And the things that make me great are the things that no one can teach. And I said, I think you can teach it. You just don't. Like, you just don't. And there are people who just won't teach you. And no one really explained any of that well to me in law school. They were people who work at that school that you're going to go to. It could be a PWI, it could be HBCU, it don't matter. There are people who just not going to teach you what you need to know. What I learned in law school is something that I promise you nobody is following. I found a teacher that I loved, and I took every class that she had on her entire syllabus before I graduated. Any class she taught, I sat in because I want to learn from people who want to teach me, who want to be there and want to see their students succeed. It is just like undergrad. If you find a teacher that you like in undergrad, that's who you're going to take. It don't matter. No one told me that. I was pursuing things that people in my class were like, girl, why ain't you taking no bar classes? I took all the bar classes my first year of law school, and I'm not taking no more bar classes. Y'all made me take them classes. So some things I just didn't worry about. And other people were worried about the bar exam. And yeah, I failed, right? But then I had somebody find a bar exam tutor. And when there were people who fail, I got a bar exam tutor to refer them to that really helped me, because all these Kaplan, Barbary, all these programs, they're great, but they don't tell you to study enough or practice enough so that you master the material. They tell people to know it if they know the basics of Black letter law. But a lot of these schools, if you don't go to like a school with a high bar passage They don't teach it. You are more than likely not to pass. And if you look at the statistics for minority students, you learn that only a few of us get through. Okay, only a few get to the promised lands. Okay, don't let others walk through, even though we could probably be just as skilled. And you saw drunk Betty go walk on through and be a lawyer. You like, why is drunk Betty, who was drunk every day of law school, a lawyer now, and I'm not? And that's a very frustrating like approach. But if you thinking like it's all about getting that practice, getting very smart and strategic with your mission, which is to get to law school, but to thrive while you're in law school, instead of just getting in, being your mission, then you are changing the way that you attack law school. Because when you get there, your goal is to be disruptive, right? Not what you would call it, the rebel. Rebel was back in our college days. In law school, it's disruption. When you disrupt their system, means that you force change it. Law school is very equipped for rebellion. Okay, they are very equipped. You could rebel if you want to. You have to guilt trip. You have to find ways to make them understand that they're gonna look bad if they don't fix this, instead of the rebellious things that we were taught in law in undergrad. You have to find a way to disrupt their system. They have been hushing rebellious people all this time because this is what happens. They'll do what you want them to do while you're there. And as soon as you leave, they go right back to how they've been going, and they just find students that won't do that. And that's the thing that I don't want to happen to anybody in law school, because it happened. I wasn't able to join. Like I wasn't, they wanted me to be nice and mentor and try to make this person who was Indian, because I'm half Indian, feel welcome at the school, but they wouldn't let me be an ambassador. I just wasn't a fit, but I was a fit to go recruit Indian people to the school. I was a fit to go, talk and fellowship with people that were foreign or Black. I was a fit, but I wasn't a fit before. I used to have people use my name as a reference on their applications, and they didn't accept them. And then a year later, that person ended up being wanted by every school in the nation, and they told them no when they called them back for opportunity. And the reason is because you are the prize. And I only learned that because my mentor told me to apply and let the chips fall where they may when I went to get my LSAT score. I never took the LSAT again. I only took it once. I had it scheduled once and I rescheduled it because I didn't feel ready. And that was the only time I ever took it, back in December of 2013. It was the first time I ever took the L.S.A.T. The last time I took the L.S.A.T. And in January, I knew my score. And by January 31st, I applied to law school. And by May or June 1st, I was in law school, and I went there and I was starting school by July 5th. So like, I didn't have much time to think about what I wanted to do. I had a lot of time to like decide that I wasn't going to do law school. I was going to take a year off, because I got into these schools after, like I got into these schools right after Howard, and I was just like, it's not what I want. This is not a fit for me. And when you know that about yourself, you will actually find a school that is a fit for you. The reason why Alabama, where I ended up going, impressed me is because they rolled out the red carpet. They took me and my mama to Nukes. They drove me around town. They answered all my questions. They told me even when I got to the school, because we came on the last possible day to turn in your seat deposit, they said, look, you can take the weekend. You don't even have to decide today. I told them when they called me talking about you got into the special summer class, but we're not going to pay tuition. I said, look, I'm deciding between other schools, and I'm not doing this until I get some money. And the reason why I knew that is because one of my Howard alum people put me in contact with two people who were there, the current boss of president at the time and Professor Fair. And both of them taught me about leverage and support systems. And so I just didn't know I needed all these things until all of these things were the reason why I was in school and more confident than most people in school, with the lowest of the low grades. And even though I'm used to having high grades, I graduated Howard with a 3.92. I was way more confident, way more ambitious. And the things that I did in law school, I was able to start my whole nonprofit in law school because one of my classmates did the nonprofit clinic. And so we were able to work together, launch a nonprofit, because I didn't like how they were running a nonprofit at their particular school. Like, they lost my kid, the kid that I was supposed to mentor, that I promised to be a mentor to, and they lost her. They didn't keep track of her. And I said, I can't. And then they tried to assign me to a new kid. And I said, no, you don't understand. I do. Okay. I told this kid that I wasn't just coming to their life to get something on my resume, and I meant it. And I didn't stop until I found this kid again. Like that's the type of mentorship and soft skills that nobody in law school is teaching you. Nobody. And the only way you can develop those soft skills is if you start attacking it from what is in a community that I am passionate about making change in. Because when you approach law school from that perspective, the school is not even the problem anymore. It's about where can I make a difference? Where are there enough contacts where if I need help, I can call? And if I don't have the contacts there, where can I find spaces in that community, in that state that needs people like me that will actually listen? And I went to a small town, right? A small town is more likely to listen and have opportunities for people than a big town. You know this because it's only so big, okay? So they have to make up for it in community resources and community provided, because the big cities don't have the time nor the energy to focus on making sure their community is better, because they're just trying to make sure this freeway pothole doesn't put them on blast on the news, okay? So coming up with that decision, I was able to make a decision to go to law school in a small town in Tuscaloosa. Tuscaloosa is very boring, y'all, but it is way better than Atlanta, Birmingham, any of those, because I was able to actually get an experience, right? The experience was that rent was affordable, that the people were, somewhat interesting. They loved football. These are cultures I had never really been a part of, right? Because I went to Howard. We did not love football. We loved partying. That's what we did at the games. It was just a big party and the football players were on the field, but we weren't watching. I was watching, but nobody else was. So I say all that to say, guys, like when you are seeking out mentors, whether it be a mentor in law, a mentor in job readiness, a mentor in a business career, you shouldn't talk to people who can just tell you how to get in. That's the part that you have control over, right? You can do it. I went to the freaking writing center 16 times. Okay. I went over my personal statement, diversity statement. I brought it to them 16 different times before I actually applied to law school. Okay. And I have my English major friend. I used all of the resources at my hands. Okay. And then after getting into law school, all of the mentorship that you need is how to maneuver strategically through that path and not get taken advantage of and not miss out on opportunities. And I tell people this because when I was at law school, they foot the bill for me to fly around the country and campaign to be a national president of the National Black Law Students Association because I wanted to. And I asked. And I made sure, dang sure, that I was actually doing what I said I was going to do. I was handling my business. All my organizations, whatever I was a part of, I was trying to do it with excellence. And that's the thing. When you have leadership skills, leadership potential, they value that and they can put money there. And that's the thing. You can make your law school do the things that you want, all the things you wanted to do. I never got to travel abroad. In law school, I got to go to Australia. I couldn't do that in undergrad. I just didn't have the time. But I found the ability to go to Australia in law school and get credit. And that was the only school or the only class in law school where I booked the class, where I got the A+ of the class. And it was a great experience for me because I wrote about being a Black woman in Australia. And there was 7 Black women for representative of the University of Alabama School of Law. Because if you know, it ain't that many Black people there. So all of us were Black. There were no other Black people or white people who came with us. It was an all Black, all female group. And that was the only Black people I saw, except for the people driving Uber in Australia. And that was disturbing because I came from America where I see way more Black women to a place where I don't see many Black women at all. In fact, there wasn't one Black woman in our class when we did with the Australian students. There was nobody, no Aboriginal people, nobody native to the land. And that was freaking frightening. And I wrote about being just completely disturbed and feeling like powerless here. Like I felt like there was more progress in America than I was seeing right here in another country. Even though they say a lot of countries are better, I could see there were positives in America that I had not appreciated enough. Like I had some Black role models in America. I didn't see any there. I didn't even see any in their high court justice system. They were just putting their first Black person on the high court, the Aboriginal person. They don't have like Black people up there. It's just Aboriginal. So like the Black people there, they were African people. And they were driving Ubers. And I was like, this is bad. And we went to a restaurant. They wouldn't let us split the bill. They made us feel like terrible people. And I was like, I don't like this. Like, I know that America is bad. Okay, we got some stuff to work on, but this was frightening. And I wrote about that. And that frightening, what I wrote about, was what made my perspective different, unique, and wonderful. And that's what I want you to understand is they don't have your perspective and they need it because their schools are lacking without it. And nobody really thinks about that, right? Until like you're trying to actually sell people in your school, and the only people that are on your brochure don't look like them. And the only things that you can talk about, right, is where there's good food or that you have some money for them. I don't care that you have money for me. They had money for me too, right? They won't let me get into this class. And I was accepted. But they didn't have money for me for tuition. I was like, you ain't got no money, I don't talk to you. Like, I'll take my chances. Like, I won't go to law school. But I'm dang sure not going here because you don't let me get into this 1 month class for free. And you're not going to pay my tuition at all. And they came back with money. You have to be able to leverage all the things that you bring to the table. And if nobody is making you feel like that at the law school level, then you don't need to go there. And nobody told me that. Like, I thought I should be honored that I got in. I thought that I should feel excited. And I was like super excited, but I wasn't going until I found a school that treated me the way that I felt like I deserved. And you have to find a school that does that. And if it doesn't do that, you don't have to go. And nobody told me that. Like, nobody told me that because I was trying to go to Harvard, y'all. I wasn't trying to go to Alabama. I was trying to go to UCLA. I wasn't trying to go to Alabama. But yeah, so that's a little bit about my stories. I want to take the remaining 13 minutes and actually talk to you guys about your mentorship experience and what you have liked and disliked about being able to find a mentor in this field and what you are asking for in the world. What do you need from your mentors?
Yeah, I'll go first. Like I was saying earlier, finding mentors in this field in particular, mentors that will be honest with you and not, just try to tell you like the social norm, tell you to do like the social norm that, is like everyone else is supposed to, what you're supposed to be doing, not like the actual like little part it is hard. But like I was saying, like I feel like God like puts people in your life really to help you like steer along your path. Like you'll know when someone's genuine with you and when someone's telling you like information that you really should take heed to. Cause like let's say for instance my first job that I had in the legal field, I had a boss that was Black, and I really like clung to her because it's like I'm thinking that she would be like a positive mentor to me. But as far as like teaching me things and like, helping me along the way, she wasn't very helpful. Opposed to someone who I sought out, like Nina, for instance, who I stumbled upon literally on Instagram, was willing to just pour into me and give me raw information that, what I mean, honest information that she could be charging me for. She could be charging me for all of this information, but she's like, this is not stuff that you need to know. This is free. Like I should not be charging. You know what I mean? I'm not going to charge you for something that I struggled through. So having like positive mentors like that was very helpful. Being able to seek out, like if you stay consistent, I feel like when I stayed consistent on like this is the type of mentor that I want to find, I was able to find it. So
I love it. What about you, Mariah? You frozen over there? There you go.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of like in an interesting place with mentorship. I've always had mentors in general in my life because I always feel like I can learn more. I never feel that I know enough. So I'm always wanting somebody to be ahead of me and teach me something that I don't know myself. But I feel like during this journey, it's been difficult in a way of finding mentorship. I've been connected with people who like judges. I have a current mentor who's a judge. He has been okay. He's been okay. But I just wish he could be better. But like if there's questions that I have, he'll answer them. But as far as like getting into law school, like for example, last year I applied for law school, but I honestly applied late. I applied like March, April, and no one told me that I should apply earlier than that. So I applied like really close to deadlines and got denied. So, when I sat here and talked with my mentors about the law school, they're like, oh yeah, well, that happens and we'll see what we can do for you next year. But it wasn't like that encouragement of like what I should have done better. I had everything that I should have known. I had to figure that out still for myself because they still didn't tell me in that moment what I did wrong. They're just like, okay, try again next year, and I'm like, okay, that's not really what I wanted to hear. Yeah. But all right, I'll roll with it, and then I just had to kind of start telling more people about my story and then picking up from other people what they have done for like graduate school or whatever it may be that they have heard about. And that's how I actually started to like redevelop my plan when it comes to this year, is that I actually found that by talking to other people outside of the legal profession instead of actually finding a mentor who is solid as of yet in the profession. They could actually kind of lay that out for me, but it's okay. It's not at the end of the journey, so I still have time to find the right one.
Yeah. And you hear it when you're talking about it, right? You hear like, oh, I still need to find, and this is my one like add on to what you're saying, because you literally hit the nail on the head. Is to my final point of mentorship, is that you need a mentorship for all aspects, not just one. You need them for many different aspects. So there are different people I call for different reasons. When I don't know how to do something legally and it's in a certain area of law, I have a mentor that I call in that particular area of law, and that extends to every single area of law in which I struggle. And if there is a situation where I don't know how to do something professionally, there are people that I call when I'm struggling with that, when I have emotional wellness, because I am not well sometimes. I have people that I call for that. And if I can't get those people, okay, because I need to go actually see someone professional, I just message my therapist and say, I need to get back on your schedule for another additional session, because the one time a month is not working this month. I am literally losing it. And that's something that you have to be able to do. And I wasn't able to do it in long. Like I didn't do any type of therapy. I called people, and when they didn't answer, I talked to myself. But mentorship, right, is about people being available in different areas of your needs. There's not just one mentor who can do everything, even though I be trying to help as best as I can about everything I can, because I just feel like you need that. You need like a connector, right? But there are usually mentors that have a mindset for connecting you to the right people. And that's really what you're going to do in the legal profession. And mentorship is really about being able to put the right people in your corner to help you when you need it. It's not about telling you how to do what I did, right? Or to be like me, or to craft a little mini me. And when you have a mentor relationship like that, it can feel kind of like overwhelming, because maybe you don't want to be a judge, or maybe you don't want to go into to law practice like with a big firm. Maybe you want to start at a nonprofit making, a decent amount of money, and you think that the work that you put in should actually pay off, and it's not. And you don't have a mentor who can tell you what to do next. And that is a frustrating process. And you deserve to be able to ask people what their real, things are. But I like to think of like 4 people. Okay. You need someone who is your sponsor. And we talked about this earlier, someone who will say good things about you when you're not there. You need someone that is a role model. Okay. These are people you look up to. All right. You need someone who is actually going to be an advocate for you. So somebody who can actually just advocate or help you through paths that you've never gone through before, and kind of help you advocate or learn how to be assertive with your needs. And then you just need someone who can be a good emotional, like, I'm going to tell you how it is type friend, but they can deliver it with love. Like, you need people who can be honest. And that was something my mom always tried to stress, is that surround yourself with people who can be honest with you, but in a loving way, and not just oh, I'm gonna be just completely like tell you how it is and make it like feel like it's a bad thing, like you're just a bad, terrible person, because that's not good for you all the time. But you need to have people who can at least tell you the truth. Like I always ask, and I got in trouble a lot in law schools because people would ask me, and I was like, do you want me to tell you a lie, or you want me to tell you the truth? And like, they're like, you want me to sugarcoat it, you want me to tell you what was really the deal? And so when they told me they wanted the real deal, I told them. And I didn't say it like mean. I just said like, look, man, I like stopped. Like I stopped reading for law school, Erica and Maya, after my first semester of law school, February the 14th. I remember because somebody told me I didn't do enough. And I skipped all the football games. I did all the outlines. I went to every office hour I could possibly go to. And I was like, you telling me I didn't do enough? I quit. I quit. I'm not doing none of this. So all I did was take notes in my professor's classes. I stopped reading the cases. The only cases I even tried to read was the professor I the book to, which is my evidence professor, Professor Carradine. At everyone else, I said, bump y'all, bump this class. I quit. And I actually got the same grades, like literally same grades. But in Carradine's class, I got a B. And I hadn't got any B's the entire time. It was B minuses and C pluses. That's all I kept getting. I could not get to the B or the B plus area. And so I was like, oh, yes, I figured something out. And when I moved, that was like my hope that kept me from getting kicked out of law school. Me from going on academic probation. That B actually changed my entire trajectory. After that, I got A's and B's. I got mostly A's. I got one C sometimes, but it didn't bother me as much as those, the A's and B's that became like a standard for me. And when I tell you, it was all because like I actually took that time to realize that like I don't have to stay and be abused by these awful professors. And so if you find someone you don't mesh with and you don't like them, I don't care if they take a class that you have to take, like you can take that and then take a whole bunch of other classes that you love to balance out that experience. And I was really fortunate to be able to find a teacher that I meshed so well with and that like I really, really enjoyed learning from. So finding those people, those mentors, there's like 4 prongs, okay? You need someone who can be there to tell you the truth. You need someone who can help you learn how to be assertive and advocate for yourself in school. You need someone who's going to actually speak well of you when you're not there. Okay. So they're advocating when you're not even around to get you into spots that you need to be in. And you need someone, right, who can sponsor you, or not sponsor you, but to dang, my brain just went off. But you need someone who can keep you on the path that you're trying to get to. So keep you all in agreement with yourself and keep you accountable. And I had a lot of those people. And when I had those people, I had my role models. My role models were always my parents. Okay. Everybody's role models aren't their parent. Okay. But those are my role models. Those are my mentors. And that's what I looked up to. And they don't have to be people outside your group, right? It can be your role models, is your family. Your mentor could be a good friend of yours, right? It could be a friend that you've been friends with for a long time, but that person is good at helping you find ways to assert your needs or to advocate for yourself when you struggle. And that's hard and you need help. I mean, how many times do people say, well, how do I say in a non-messed up way, like, bitch, no, like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to. Like, how do you say that? And there are people who can help you navigate that path. And that is still a definition of a mentorship because you don't always know what to say. You don't know how to say it. And I mean, I got a funny story. I'll tell y'all when we're not on live video stream, but I do have a funny story that will help y'all understand. So I thank y'all for listening to our live stream, but I got